Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Chris-Beth, and the founder of Empowered for X and the host of BizGrams. We get the privilege of introducing you to dynamic entrepreneurs, and I'm super excited today to have Paige with us here on set of Page One of Some. Paige, thank you. How are you doing today?
I am so amazing. I'm so excited to be here. Like, how perfect to start my Monday with you guys. Well, not start, but my late Monday brunch conversations. I love it.
Hey, that is awesome. And we are definitely honored. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. As a motivational speaker, social media strategist, and author of the best-selling book, Break Free of Bullshit, a Millennial Empowerment Guide. So yes, tell us about yourself a little and what got you started on your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah. So, like you said, best-selling author, motivational speaker. I do social media strategy, but most importantly, out of all of those topics, I'm a mom of my perfect little ray of sunshine, on a good day. His name is Jacob. And yeah, that's what I do. The way I really started this journey was by accident. I really had no intention of starting a business at all. Everyone around me had a hobby and I didn't. And I'm like, well, everyone's like, Paige, you're good at talking, so why don't you talk? And I'm like, no one's going to pay me to just talk. I talk every day and you guys tell me to shut up. And now you want me to go and talk. So at that time, about like almost 3 years ago, I created an Instagram page called Page One of Some. And what I did there was just highlight the experiences that millennials were going through. Because at that time, I was entering into the corporate world. I was getting promoted fairly quickly and seeing the way millennials are looked at. And then I got married, I bought a home, then got pregnant in basically 5 seconds. And a lot of those stories weren't talked about. And a lot of the struggles were not normalized. So I really just created a platform just to talk because, again, everyone had a hobby except me. And next thing I knew, it was Humber College was the first corporation company to contact me to say, how much do you charge to speak? And I'm like, well, then I guess you guys are right. I guess I can get paid to talk. So that's how it all started.
Hey, that is wonderful. I love that story too. For myself, as I say, I'm a speaker, coach, and soon to be author. But definitely it was like, hey, you like to talk. What do you want to get paid? And I was like, paid, awesome.
Yeah,
and then you go and you gotta scramble, figure out what does that even look like. But it's amazing to know that there's a starting place and where you've come to at this moment. So tell us a little bit more about your book. And, it is a millennial empowerment guide. I am so curious. Just share a little bit more about the book.
Yeah, so the book is called Break Free of the Bullshit, a Millennial Empowerment Guide, like you mentioned. Similar to the speaking story, there was no intention of even writing a book either. So I was doing a lot of speaking engagements, and my focus is the millennial generation for multiple reasons. One, being a millennial, but also, sorry, my cat is going crazy in the background. Not only being a millennial, but I feel like we are such a monumental generation. We're almost downplayed in a sense, and we don't always understand ourselves, right? So I was doing some speaking engagements and I was doing coaching as well. And being aware of your target market, not all millennials can afford a coach, or I guess the coaching that I was charging. So when I was doing these speaking engagements, I've had so many people saying, we followed you for so long. We wish we could bring you in our pocket. I wish I could call you whenever I need anything. And my business manager was like, why don't you just write a book and have all the information in there? And for me, I've read motivational books in the past, but I think a lot of it really is BS because, you get super hyped. You read this book and you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to change my life. And then the book is closed and then it's done. And then you go back to the same foolishness you were doing before. So what I decided was to write this motivational book catered towards millennials, but really works for any generation. And it's a workbook at the same time. So it pulls out your toxic traits. It makes you recognize, you see the cat in the background, makes you recognize relationships. It makes you set goals, understand failure, understand family issues, all of those things. But that workbook component forces you to actually do the work. So all the topics, the chapters are called phases, and it's different phases of your life. And it really brings everything full circle. And the approach is very blunt. So I'm telling everybody right now, it is not you can do it. Let me hold your hand. We're going to make this happen. It's going to like shake you and be like, why the hell are you not doing it? Get your shit together. It's time to break free, essentially, of the bullshit, because we are all a little kind of full of it one way or another. And sometimes you just need someone to say, you have this. Why not? If not you, then who?
I love that. If not you, then who? And
Mhm.
most of us as oftentimes sitting on our dreams for far too long, right?
Yes.
I think it was Les Brown that said, the richest place on the planet is in the graveyard because so many people go to their graves with what ifs and the
Yes.
dreams and all of these things, these acres of diamonds that we have the potential within, but it's just taking that action. And I really love how you talk about how your book is structured. I love those types of books. The book that I'm reading right now, and I'm really encouraging a lot of entrepreneurs to pick up, is called Traction, looking at the operations of your business. The book is kind of tailored similarly, asking you some very pertinent questions that helps you challenge where your norm, and then being able to say, how do you move forward? So I love that structure that you talk about. One of the things you mentioned is, the excuses, the self-doubt, the procrastination, the failures. Talk to us a little bit more about why should we be learning from failure? What is it and why should we be learning from it?
Um, I think we should learn from it because we've all experienced failure. We've all experienced self-doubt. We've all experienced comparison. We've experienced all of those things. And because it's such a common narrative that we've all gone through, we can't just accept the fact of, okay, I failed and then move on. We need to learn from those experiences because it's teaching us something. Essentially, it's you either win or you learn. So for me, a big focus in my life and a big monumental change was I was living under this idea of perfection. I had that perfect family. We got to travel. We had the dog. We had my parents. We had my sister. We lived a we lived a good life. Really, what it is, and because that's how it was perceived. We'll say it's perceived to be that cookie cutter perfect life. And because a lot of people I was around didn't live a similar narrative, a similar life, then it's like, oh my gosh, Paige's life is perfect. And seeing that at such a young age, experiencing that with friends and family, it almost conditioned me to think like, no, you have to be perfect. Like you can't fail, you can't have those flaws. And that really led into me when I went into university. I was at Brock for psychology initially. And long story short, I was en route to getting kicked out of university. So I was on academic probation. I got letters for academic suspension. I was getting caught for plagiarism. Everything was going left extremely quickly. And I never spoke on it. I would go back home on weekends and tell my parents, oh, I'm getting 80s. Like, where's your report card? I'm like, it's not like high school. Like, they don't do it like that here. And I was just digging myself deeper and deeper into a hole of, again, like the failure, the self-doubt, and just accepting the fact of, well, I'm going to get kicked out of university. I'm going to waste all my parents' money, and then I'll just have to figure it out when it happens. Or maybe I'll just go to another school and they won't even know. And like I was trying to just accept the fact that I was failing. And to end that story, I ended up speaking with an academic advisor from psychology who told me just drop out of school because you're going to get kicked out anyways. And then I spoke to an academic advisor for media and communications, which is what I originally wanted to go to school for. And that was the only part of my area where I wasn't failing. I was getting 80s and 90s there. I love the behavioral side of psychology, but not the neuroscience, which is what was killing me and getting me caught for plagiarism. So anyways, so within that moment of having that conversation with her and really becoming like real with myself and what was going on, I ended up graduating with honors and only having to stay an extra year, getting a job in my field, having this business. But if I didn't learn from that situation of failure and learning from it and pulling myself out of it, I would not be the person that I am today. And I try to push people to look at failure as something like positive. So I don't say failing is bad, failure is shitty. I say fail fast, fail hard, because how do you learn? How do you grow? How do you learn about yourself? Because Now I'd be living this life like everything is perfect. I'd be more of a people pleaser. I feel like I would just do what I feel like I was supposed to do instead of going against the grain or failing or trying something new, because failure is really what brought me to the point that I'm at today.
Such a powerful lesson. Thank you so much for sharing. I can honestly say, like, no sugarcoating, right? Like the mask is off. Last week we had a conversation just talking about masks, and really looking at, sometimes we want to be perceived some a way, and then in reality it's not that. But really being able to confront your truth, the truth of your current existence, and making a decision to then pivot and change, right? Because I like to say, as long as we have breath in our bodies, there is hope. There is something better that can be achieved. Oftentimes the motivation that I lead with the positive, but still you gotta face the facts. It's like,
there's people are sugarcoating things everywhere. I feel like a lot of my work is based on social media. That's where everything started. And social media, sorry to cut you off, really is a double-edged sword, right? A lot of people are always an after story. There is no before. Everyone makes you feel like, yeah, you can do it. Just manifest. Manifesting will make everything happen, which is important. You do have to manifest. I manifested the point I'm at now, but I had to put in some like hard ass work and some late nights and a lot of sacrifices. And a lot of issues I have with motivation is it is like a lot of fluff. It's like, yes, everybody, let's just say these positive things. Let's breathe, let's whatever. And then boom, your life is perfect. Like, no, you need someone that's going to call you out and say, like, you're slacking, you're being lazy. You didn't do XYZ that you wanted to. So now what? What are we going to do? How are we going to turn this around? Because everybody needs your story. And if your story is a whole bunch of like wins, it's boring. We watch movies and TVs because of drama. Like, we want to see the up and down. We want to see the craziness happen, and we want to be able to relate. You can't motivate anyone. You can't do a business, social media, whatever, if you're not real, because someone's going to call BS on you fairly quickly. So